Hi everybody, Timeform preview time for the first day of Cheltenham's, and we can say it now. You can say it without fearing you're out of date. The Paddy Power meeting, the November meeting as well, the Bet Victor, all the other names it's had. It's now back under its rightful name, the Paddy Power, and they're sponsoring the big race on Saturday, the Paddy Power Gold Cup. Before that, there's a small matter of a good card on Friday, and joining me is one of our younger members and more promising members of editorial, James Davies, and he's got a couple of selections. I've got one to chip in as well, and we'll hand over to James for the first of those.
Hi, Dan. Yeah, hope you're well, and there's some good racing coming up this weekend. And there's one in the 335 at Cheltenham that I quite like here, and it's a big price, and that's Ballymilsey. Now, he's only a 4-year-old, and he lacks experience for this type of race. But if you look at his Kempton bumper win last year, there's been some promising horses emerge from that, and they've struck at the first time of asking over hurdles this year, and they've not won Mickey Mouse races either. He then went to Lingfield for his hurdles debut last month, and he made a big sweeping move round the outside into the home straight, and approaching 2 out, you're thinking, oh, he's bang there, and he clouted that. And a lot of horses there, you'd think, oh, they're going to fade, come home at his own time. But to his credit, he stuck on really well. And watching it closely, he was actually coming back at the second at the line. So the winner, and when you consider that the anti-post fave for this race was the horse that beat him that day at Lingfield, and he was something around 11-4, 3-1 anti-post for this race, and he's actually won again today at Ludlow, which is another boost to Ballymilsey. When you consider that, and Ballymilsey's only been beat, I think it were about 6 lengths at the top of my head, and he's clouted the second last, and with this stiffer test shorter suit, I think 25-1 is a ridiculous price, really. I'll just quickly run through the opposition. Petra Star, well beaten in the Persian War. Polish, limitations exposed last time. The Grand Vizier, yeah, he's been ticking over nicely on the flat, but this is it's a tough race to revert back to hurdling straight away. Wild Romance, she won in an ordinary time at Chepstow. We don't know how good that the form's taken a couple of knocks, but we don't know how good she is, and we're totally guessing it was an ordinary time. So she is from a top yard. She's entitled to improve, but on the balance of that, I think 6-1, I'd be happy to take her on. Grand Mogul got his career back on track at Chepstow. But I felt the second division was stronger that day. So at 3-1 again, I'm happy to oppose him, and I'd still have some concerns. So all in all, I think Ballymilsey is a silly price at 25-1. What I would recommend here is a small bet in the win market and look for something without the fav. He's 22-1 in the win market. So I don't know, without the fave, what would you be looking at, Dan? Maybe 12s, 14s tomorrow?
The favs are, what price is the fav? 3, did you say?
11-10, sorry.
Oh, 11-10, sorry.
I run about Grand Mogul, sorry.
Yeah, probably 10, 12-1, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good bet. Like I say, it is that inexperience, and we do see a lot of horses thrown into a race like this, and they do go, but they tend to just need the experience. It comes too soon in the development, and so there's that. So the concerns are real, but at 25-1, I think is a silly price, given what we know about the opposition.
So that's Ballymilsey in that 335, and I suppose if you're gonna,
that's right.
If you're gonna pick holes in the one I'm gonna go for, apart from his price, which has deflated me slightly, but I do think he's got an extremely strong chance. If you're going to find any holes in him, it's possibly an experience as well, and that's Ingeno in the first race at Cheltenham, the 1:15. As I say, I've seen that they've put him in favourite, which I suspected they would do, but he almost harks back to the days of old with David Pipe's father Martin, this horse, who back in the day would have started 9-4, 2-1, 7-4 for a handicap like this. When you've got the profile that he has, in those days, the likes of Banno Strand, Not Left Yet, horses like that didn't used to miss the target. Maybe Davies not been as prolific on that score, certainly at this meeting, which was one his father used to really target. But this for me is an absolute standout in an open race on the face of it, because there are so many runners, but the number of runners just guarantees hopefully a bit more juice in the price, because I think it's full of exposed horses, and he definitely does not conform to that category. He's had 2 runs over hurdles, both at low-key Sedgefield, but he was an impressive winner at the main expense of Stoynific on the first of those. Stoynific went on later in the campaign to win a handicap at Doncaster off a mark of 1:15. That's exactly the same mark Ingeno has been handed, despite the fact he beat that horse. And when you add into the mix that Stoynific won that handicap by 9 lengths, doesn't take much figuring to work out that Ingeno has been given a proper chance off 1:15, probably helped by the fact that he's running a handicap after only 2 starts, so the handicapper hasn't had as much to go out with him. He disappointed back at Sedgefield on Boxing Day, but he wasn't seen again. That almost implies they weren't happy with him, or they were happy to sit off him with the handicap mark assured. And when you go back to that bumper form, he won a bumper at Fast Lass, and you see that he beat Mario De Pale, who on the Timeform figures now he's a 1:29 hurdler. Again, 1:15 just looks a bit of a rick, really. And I know he'll be a clear fav, and maybe his price, as it stands now at 3s, as I saw on the first show, is nothing to get excited about. But I have little doubt that if this horse is, as I suspect he might be, we could be talking about a 9-4 shot anyway. So I'm happy to go with him without saying he's an outstanding value bet. Certainly not in the same league as potential value of Ballymilsey. And you've got one more, haven't you, James, from elsewhere on the card to round us off?
Yeah, I've got one more, and that comes in the last race, the 4:05, and that's One True King. Again, another Nigel Twiston Davies horse. He's hit a bit of form recently. And this horse actually ran last month over course and distance in a better race than this, an 0-140, finished second. The fourth's come out and franked the form. He was a smooth winner at Huntingdon earlier in the week, only won by a small margin, but was value for much more given the way he travelled. And I take a bit of a different approach. You'll probably not agree with this, Dan, but with these novice handicappers, I'd rather not look at like what mark they're on, or he might be well treated off this mark, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? How I approach it is I'd rather have something in the bank, like a good time. And One True King certainly was a very respectable time. I'm not really, but the £2 extra doesn't really do anything for me. I'm more interested in that he's run to a good time, and 2, it's course and distance form, which is so important.
And it's a solid, well-run handicap. I mean, he surprised me a bit, because he came when he won a bumper at Ludlow on his rules debut. He seemed to nick that race a bit, and he had a load of experience from point to points. And I thought, this might be a horse who doesn't progress. But we suggested, you say about handicap marks, we didn't give him much of a chance on the figures. The market very much did last time, and he ran far more like the market suggested he would than the Timeform rating suggested he would. So because you're dealing with little concrete evidence at that stage, it is of less relevance. I agree with you.
Yeah, and I think with these experienced horses, if you've got something that can run to a good level, particularly in a 0-125 race, where a lot of these are not going to be capable of running to this level to the level he showed on his last run over course and distance. Yes, some may have not had the chance to do that, to express themselves, but looking through the opposition, again, there's not a lot I'd fear here. And if he is to repeat that course and distance second, it's going to take one of the others to run to a pretty good level, knowing that he's going to be up there, he's going to be forcing a decent pace like he did last time. And that's how I tend to approach these novice handicaps, especially in a mid-range 0 to 125, where a lot of these horses are not going to be capable to run to the level he did last time. If there is one in there that I would really respect and he's fave, that's the Bees Knees. He comes from a Newton Abbott novice. Again, that was a pretty good time for the time of year. That form's been franked by Oscar's Moonshine since, who's wrapped up a few. So he was actually ridden a bit differently last time at Musselburgh when he hacked up. So it'll be interesting to see what Max Kendrick does this time. But all in all, I think One True King. I noticed Hills there at 13-2, which I think's a great price.
Good each way, but that isn't it? When you get the quarterly odds and 4 places.
Yeah, well, Hills are first 5 at a 5th, so whichever way you want to play it. If I think he'll struggle to be out the first 4, so the maths tells you that you should probably be back in first 4 at a quarter, then first 5 at a 5th. But
you did highlight the very interesting rival there in the Bees Knees, but for me, it was pretty astonishing to win a handicap at Musselburgh by as far as he did, given that it's a track where they tend not to get strung out. But it was Musselburgh on the back of Newton Abbott, which are completely different tracks to Cheltenham. And he looks a speed horse to me, and he'll face competition for the lead. So we're happy with those 3. And we can do a quick summary of those. Viewers, 115 Cheltenham Ingeno. That's the pronunciation I've gone with. 335 Ballymilsey and 405 One True King. So Cheltenham, with the return of Paddy Power, will hopefully be getting back on a very familiar footing elsewhere as well, because that might be a double for Nigel Twiston Davies and a winner for the Pipe family, which we've seen so many of down the years. So that's our trio. Trixies, patents, however you want to play them, are just singles. They're 3 that we think might be worth backing tomorrow. And I want to thank James as well for joining us.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on as well. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching.